Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey everyone, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It is so great to be with you guys here on the JMOR Tech Talk Show. Thank you very, very much for being here with me. We have an amazing show for you, and we have a great show tonight, but we have another great show coming up next week. We actually have a gentleman who is a golf professional from Southwest Florida. His name is Jason Miller. He'll be on. And we'll be talking about a very interesting topic next week, how to keep your golf course and country club operating in the black and outside of the red using smart technology. You're not going to want to miss that. Of course, we have some other great gadgets for you golf enthusiasts there. So definitely check that show. Just fixing my hat here, a little crooked. All right, guys. So let's get right into the show, shall we? All right. I knew you'd be excited about that. Tonight's show's topic is tech turbulence, data breaches, AI breakthroughs, and more. We're on Series 3, Show 29, and I got something to share with you. There was a disaster today. Yes, a major technology crash today because of a hack. This affected airlines, banks. It was a major global IT outage. It actually grounded flights. As I said, it hit banks and businesses all over the world. Fortunately, we were not affected, which was great. So again, not just banks and airlines, but shops and broadcasters. Again, we were not affected. Microsoft said it had fixed the issue, but problems still persist and blue error screens are appearing on public screens across the United States and beyond. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, in a statement Friday, just recently said today that CrowdStrike released an update that began impacting IT systems globally. Now, I'm going to tell you what I believe, okay? And you know, being an engineer and working in technology for a long time, I don't like CrowdStrike. This isn't a political thing. I just go for technology that works. And you might be asking, say, John, why is CrowdStrike bad? Well, they claim to have the most sophisticated and secure system around, right? And they brag on their website. See, people that brag that they are so good on a website, they're going to be brought down to size. And so, you know, a defective CrowdStrike kernel driver sent computers around the globe into a reboot death spiral, taking down air travel, as I said, hospitals, banks, and more with it. And only a handful of times in history has a single piece of code managed to instantly wreck computer systems worldwide. The Slammer Worm of 2003. So I have to tell you, I don't like this. And you might be saying, well, gee, who is at fault? Well, it was CrowdStrike, right? But what actually caused the meltdown is what I want to talk about. You know, what caused this all to happen? And I think a lot of people are going to say it's this, it's that. Again, the CrowdStrike update failure caused global outages and travel chaos. The faulty software update issued by security giant CrowdStrike resulted in a massive overnight outage that affected Windows computers around the world, disrupting businesses, airports, train stations, banks, broadcasters, and the health sector. We were not affected. CrowdStrike said the outage was not caused by a cyber attack, but was the result of a defect in a software update for its flagship security product. Falcon sensor. I have to say something to you guys. When you're brought down, okay, and it's not a virus, it's not spyware, it's not ransomware, and it's because of your crappy design and implementation, shame on you. I think a lot of people are going to move away from CrowdStrike. I would never use that garbage. Again, this is my opinion, okay? This is not what they say. I think my opinion is I think CrowdStrike is garbage. And you might be saying, why do I say that? Well, any software, okay, that just pulls the entire country down, and it wasn't even an attack. I mean, come on, guys. Really? They call it a BSOD, blue screen of death fix. The question you probably want to know is who owns CrowdStrike? Who do you think owns CrowdStrike? So it's an American cybersecurity technology company. It's on the NASDAQ. But I have to tell you that even when you go to their website and you click on contact us, okay, you have to go through the bottom of the website. And if you want to look for they have United Kingdom, the United States, they have 800 numbers, so you can get a hold of them. And then they say, why CrowdStrike? So they say because it's the recognized leader in endpoint protection solutions. Yeah, you're so good as a leader that you brought the entire world down. I think sometimes we get invested in technology because of what we hear, but not what we experience. And I have to tell you, I wouldn't pay $1 or $1 billion to have CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike's terrible. I think CrowdStrike is garbage. I'm not going to go on this forever, but I have to tell you that it's something that is definitely something that I think a lot of people don't quite understand. And I think the reason they don't understand it is that they fell into some type of I'm going to say they fall into some type of a trap. And that trap, ladies and gentlemen, is propaganda. Okay. And you might be saying, John, how did CrowdStrike, suddenly cause this big problem? Was it Microsoft's fault? Well, of course you have to update things, but they had an update to a software that got pushed out to its company's clientele around the world. And those that were using Windows servers and within a certain time period, one professor at American University, the executive director of AU Institute on Disability and Public Policy, and the faculty co-director of the Internet Governance Lab told Mashable, quote, so it wasn't everybody that uses CrowdStrike, but a pretty sizable set of community. Cogburn said it affected a connected network of companies that were just trying to do the right thing and protect themselves and their users. But when a provider like CrowdStrike has a problem with an update, it can ripple throughout the industry. Now, are all companies like this? So no one's perfect, right? But you have to have some, let's say, governance. You've got to have some kind of Q&A. And I have to tell you, I would never recommend CrowdStrike. Okay, so they're American. Who cares? I am really disappointed with how they allowed software to be deployed that was faulty. All right, so first thing I want to talk about is the European Union charges X with deceiving users. Yes, it's charging X with deceiving users. And so this might seem like something crazy, but it's not. EU is charging X with deceiving users via the blue check mark and drawing into Musk's ear. So Elon Musk's social media company X had been found to breach the European Union's online content rules, including deceiving users with its blue check mark, according to the European Union tech regulators. The charges, the first under the DSA, the Digital Service Act, followed a 7-month investigation and now could lead to a hefty fine and significant operational changes for X. The European Commission preliminary fines targeted X use of dark patterns, advertising transparency, and data access for researchers. Musk, disagreeing with the assessment, has threatened litigation, claiming the European Union offered X an illegal deal to censor speech, which the European Union, of course, denies. Pretty crazy. And, AT&T is in trouble again. Yes, AT&T says the data from 109 million U.S. customer accounts was illegally downloaded. AT&T reported a massive hacking incident where data from about 109 million customer accounts, including call and text records from 2022, was illegally downloaded in April. The FBI is investigating, and at least one person has been arrested. The breach involved call logs copied from a third-party cloud platform and does not include the content, according to them, that's the content of communications or sensitive personal information. But do we really believe them? AT&T has closed off access points and is working with law enforcement to prevent future breaches. But do I really trust a company like AT&T or Verizon? The answer is no. You see, they have to report things, but they didn't report things when they happened. They reported things when they got their hands stuck in the cookie jar and they got caught. So if the company was doing the right thing and actually notifying people when the breach happened, then I'd be okay. Still not great, but at least I'd have a little more respect for them. All right, so that's a very, very big problem. And ladies and gentlemen, Samsung launches a smart ring. What the heck is this? Yes, Samsung is the first tech giant to launch a smart ring. It's called the Galaxy Ring. It's the newest wearable device amid a fitness world and health tracking enthusiasts. It was announced at the Galaxy Unpacked event not too long ago. The smart ring leverages artificial intelligence to monitor health metrics such as heart rate, sleep, menstrual cycles. And as the largest tech company to enter the smart ring market, Samsung aims to make these devices mainstream, offering a sleek and less intrusive alternative to smartwatches. The Galaxy Ring is compatible with Android phones running Android 11 or above and integrates with the Samsung Health app for personalized health insights. If you're using an iPhone, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to use the Galaxy Ring. So, that's a real problem. And if you were a Redbox user, does anybody know what the heck a Redbox user is? Yes, Redbox DVD rentals. Do you remember that? So Redbox basically is really in trouble. And the reason I say this to you is a judge converted Redbox owner Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment bankruptcy case from a Chapter 11 to a Chapter 7, mandating the liquidation of the company's assets and included laying off its remaining 1,000 employees and shutting down its streaming services and 24,000 disc kiosks. Judge Thomas Horan noted the company's inability to pay employees or bills, highlighting potential misappropriation of funds. Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment also operates brands like Crackle and Screen Media, but the broader Chicken Soup for the Soul LLC is not part of the bankruptcy. So if you go to their site right now and you click on anything, their site is still up. If you click on Contact Us, you basically get, thank you for being a Redbox customer. Please check our FAQ for answers to commonly asked questions. If you don't find an answer related to your issue, please email customerservice@redbox.com. So they have things like unplayable disc. When you click on it, how to report a disc that won't play. Was this helpful? My Redbox account. If I click on Redbox password, I try to click on my account and I try to go there and I try to log in. There's a place where I can do a reset. Then there's a find a kiosk. If I type my zip code, you will notice that there are no locations. So even though the Redbox website is still up, it really has no data in it. And I remember Redbox. They were around a long time, and they allowed you to basically rent your DVDs right there at the supermarket and bring them home. Very similar to, it was like the next generation of the VCR or VHS rentals this was the DVD rentals, and they were cheap too. They weren't that expensive. So it's really sad to see them go. Max Originals rebranded as HBO. Well, this is interesting. So Max might not be the one to watch after all. Warner Brothers Discovery is rebranding several Max originals like The Penguin and Dune Prophecy as HBO originals to better differentiate content under its two brand umbrellas. These shows will now premiere simultaneously on both Max and HBO, similar to other major series like A House of the Dragon. The move highlights WBD's shift from prioritizing the Max brand, which struggled to resonate, to leverage HBO established reputation that they've worked so hard on. And the rebranding acknowledges that the creative process for many new shows align more with traditional HBO content, making the distinction between Max and HBO basically unnecessary. And ladies and gentlemen, Germany, yes, Germany bans Huawei and ZTE components from its 5G network over the next 5 years, a move that may strain relations with China. Mobile network operators like Vodafone, Deutsche Telekom will remove these components from their core network by 2026 and from access and transport networks by 2029. The German government emphasizes this is being done to reduce security risks and avoid dependencies. China has criticized the decision, warning it could harm future cooperation and mutual trust between Germany and China. I don't think they really care. And ladies and gentlemen, Meta expands their hate speech policy. Yes, Meta will now remove some posts attacking Zionists as a form of hate speech. Meta announced it will now remove posts containing the term Zionist if used in conjunction with anti-Semitic tropes or dehumanizing rhetoric, expanding its hate speech policies. The decision follows a thorough review of the term and amid an ongoing conflict like the Gaza war. Meta consulted with over 145 experts to address concerns that Zionists can be used as a derogatory proxy for Jews and Israelis, leading to harmful content on its platform. Crazy. And ladies and gentlemen, there's another app ban for underage users. It seems like we have one of these like every week. Yes, there's a popular app that's being banned from hosting young teens in a groundbreaking settlement. The FTC, which in case you don't know who they are, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office have banned anonymous messaging app NGL from serving users under 18 due to rampant cyberbullying and threats against children. This action includes a $5 million settlement and requires NGL to implement an age gate to prevent underage access. The app allegedly used deceptive tactics to lure teens into paying for anonymous messages, leading to criticism and legal action for exploiting vulnerable users and disregarding safety concerns. That's a problem. Yes, NGL banned with teens. I mean, that is just a problem. The thing is, NGL had been around for a little while, but the fact that they were doing things like other platforms like Facebook, etc., they were luring people and then making them pay money, and then they were getting abused, which I think is just like horrendous. So, it looks like it's really starting to crack down, and this is all starting to happen because of the European Union. If it wasn't for the European Union, guys, none of this stuff would actually ever happen. I mean, none of it. It would just be like flying in the wind. So they don't want to exploit vulnerable users. And right now they've been disregarding safety concerns. So this is a very, very big problem. And if you've been using floppy disks, I don't know about you, the 1.44 megabytes, the old stable, reliable, we used to call it SneakerNet. Well, Japan has finally said no more. Japan has finally scraped all regulations mandating the use of floppy disks for administrative purposes, catching up with the modern times after the country's last floppy disk production 13 years ago. The move marks the end of an era for the once ubiquitous storage medium. It has been largely replaced by newer technologies that we know of now, like flash drives and cloud storage. Despite the transition, some traditional sectors, such as parts of the textile industry and the Kyoto, will rely on outdated technology like floppy disks, highlighting Japan's slow shift away from legacy systems. I know we had some clients and they had CNC machines, a computer numerical control, and they hadn't upgraded in a while, and they were still using floppy disks to save their programs and load them. Well, it's not as bad as some of our clients. They were using punch cards. That's really terrible. Whether they were paper or whether they were plastic, and you had to literally punch the card, or what you would do is you would write the program, that you'd put the punch card in, and the machine would punch it in the right spots, because that'd be a pain having to punch it, right? So nobody does that by hand. No, just kidding. They use a machine to do that. But once you punch it, you can't unpunch it. And how would you like this, ladies and gentlemen? How would you like to board a plane, and then a while after, you notice smoke coming from a laptop right near you? So because of a smoking laptop, they had to evacuate an entire flight. Ouch, 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 ouch. So smoking laptop in a passenger's bag prompted the evacuation on American Airlines flight in San Francisco. The American Airlines flight from San Francisco to Miami was evacuated immediately after a smoking laptop in a passenger's bag was discovered just before departure. One person sustained minor injuries and was taken to the hospital, while two others reported minor injuries. Passengers evacuated using the emergency slides and a jet bridge. The Federal Aviation Administration will investigate the incident, which delayed the flight American Airlines just spoke about. So that's crazy that there was smoke out of a passenger bag on an American airline. I mean, we go through all these securities, right? But the question is, how and why, right? What's going on? I mean, to hear about this is it's crazy. And it was actually the American Airlines flight 2045. It was scheduled to depart San Francisco at 12:15 p.m. from Miami, and the flight then departed later on. Now, the spokesperson for the Federal Aviation said the agency will, of course, investigate more. I don't know. My question is, what the heck? Like, what happened? What did they do? And if we don't know what they did, then there's got to be like some other thing they can do to check something, right? There's got to be something they can do. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there's got to be something they could do. They always tell you, not to have smart bags loaded with your batteries, but it could have been somebody's laptop. I mean, are we going to have to start going through laptop diagnostics to make sure that your laptops are in tip-top shape? I mean, that's pretty bad if we got to do that. And we've been hearing a lot, ladies and gentlemen, about former President Trump. Well, Meta lifts Trump's restrictions. Isn't that nice of them that they lift the restrictions? Maybe the next president, they lift restrictions. Meta announced just recently that it will immediately remove all penalties and restrictions on former President Donald Trump's social media accounts. Initially, Meta suspended Trump's accounts in 2021 after the January 6th insurrection. After a 2-year suspension, Trump regained access last February, but with certain restrictions. With the latest announcement, any future violations by Trump will result in a much shorter suspension, lasting only a few days. I mean, that's just nonsense. I mean, I think that's just political BS. A lot of these social media companies, to be honest with you, I mean, they are BS. They're all about control, aren't they? They're all about control and what they're doing and what they're not doing. And I think it's really a big problem. I mean, I think it's really a serious problem. Not just a minor problem, but I mean a really, really serious problem. Here's an interesting one, ladies and gentlemen. Veterans. Yes, the Veterans Affairs Simulation Hospital. I love this story. This is one that really got me very, very curious. Inside the $43 million investment Veterans Affairs Simulation Hospital, where doctors are piloting new technology. The Veterans Affairs facility, called the National Center for Simulation Validation, Evaluation, and Testing, SimVet. There are no real patients, only simulations. Located near Orlando International Airport, SimVet is a 53,000 square foot hub where VA healthcare workers practice procedures and test new technology without risking patient safety. This is a controlled environment, allows clinicians to refine their responses to scenarios such as opioid overdoses and evaluate new AI tools. It opened in 2016. The SimVet exemplifies the growing sophistication and prevalence of simulation in healthcare, aiding in the assessment of numerous new technologies. Don't worry, they don't have any live people there. Everything there is simulation, so there is nothing live. It's just basically these different plastic devices they work on and simulations, so they can understand how to respond, be tactical, and things like that. So I think that's a pretty cool thing, and I'm glad that they're actually working on the practice about it. But I think when a lot of people hear this stuff, like they don't understand it and they don't realize why we have it. Well, Governor Murphy unveils an AI tool. This is something pretty neat for the state of New Jersey, really advanced that they are. Yes, Governor Murphy unveils an AI tool for state employees and training course for responsible use. Governor Phil Murphy announced the launch of the New Jersey AI Assistant. Of course, it's a generative AI-powered platform for New Jersey state employees, along with a comprehensive training program on generative AI, Gen AI. The New Jersey AI Assistant provides a secure environment for staff to responsibly use AI to enhance government services and operations. The accompanying Gen AI training course, designed with Innovate US, educates state workers on using AI safely and effectively, ensuring privacy and bias-free applications. And this initiative aims to empower public servants with the skills to leverage AI for improved service delivery, exemplified by successful early implementations in departments like labor and taxation. So I think it's good that they're doing stuff like this. My question is, are they just trusting everything too fast? What kind of securities are in place? I mean, I think those are the types of questions that I think we want to ask ourselves. And if we can't ask ourselves those questions, then how do we move forward? Like, how? And if we can't move forward, then we're either going to be stagnant or we're eventually going to move backwards. And neither of those is really a good thing. Let's be honest. It's not a good thing. And you might be saying, John, these are great things. We're moving forward. Yeah, it's great moving forward, but I just am concerned about the level of security and privacy. Okay? The level of security and privacy is something that a lot of people don't take into account. I speak to so many people, and you know what happens with them? They actually implement something the cheapest way they can. But when they implement something in the very cheapest manner, do you know what happens? That's right. They actually can't do anything. And now they're up a creek without a paddle, and they don't know how to protect themselves. And you might say, John, how do they have to protect themselves? Well, using technology. Okay, I've told you that technology is not good. Technology is not bad. It's how we choose to apply it that makes it so. So if we could maybe just understand something quickly, how do we stay safe using AI technology? Let's go down that rabbit hole for a minute. Be mindful of personal information, understand privacy settings and what that means. Don't overshare, think critically, report inappropriate content, be cautious with AI-generated messages, and don't solely rely on AI. Stay informed. And people say to me, John, well, AI is going to make us safer. Is it? So AI-driven protection basically goes after threats in three ways. It detects threats by referencing models of existing threats, and it combats pre-existing threats and entirely new zero-day threats alike. AI can spot varieties of different threats by comparing them to features it's seen before. But the question that I have for you is, if AI is not always correct and it gives us information, how do we know that we're doing the right thing? I mean, like, how do we really know that? And I think that's something that a lot of people, like, they just don't understand. And I think the reason they don't understand is because it's new to them. It's a new world. And people say to me, John, is AI risky? There are a plethora of risks to do with AI in our lives. Not every AI risk is as gigantic and concerning as others, like robots that get out of control, sentient AI. Some of the biggest risks today include things like consumer privacy, biased programming, danger to humans, and unclear legal regulations. And so I think AI's got some pluses, but I think the people that are coding AI almost need to understand some things. And we have to make sure that the people that we're employing to code or deploy AI are of a sound mind and body. Because if they're not, we don't know what the heck they're going to create. I mean, we have no idea. Um, I think when we think about things like what happened today with CrowdStrike, and the chair of the Federal Trade Commission, Linda Khan, seemed to refer to the CrowdStrike outage, saying that the over-reliance on too few vendors creates a fragile system. I agree. I think we need to have a backup. I have multiple, let's say, credit card payment systems in case one goes down or there's an issue with something. It could be a problem. Khan also cited remarks where she had mentioned at the Carnegie Endowment for the International Peace in March, noting that the country's antitrust laws were passed to safeguard undue concentration of economic power. And such concentration, according to Khan, wrote on X, can concentrate risks, creating cascading effects like outages. So she says something else on Twitter, X. All too often these days, a single glitch results in a system-wide outage, affecting industries from healthcare and airlines to banks and auto dealers. Millions of people and businesses pay the price. These incidents reveal how concentration can create a fragile system. So I think it's a problem when we put our trust in a company like CrowdStrike and we don't have another backup plan. Just 23% of all U.S. flights departing on time as of this afternoon. That was terrible. Okay. It was a nightmare scenario. It unfolded this morning at a U.S. airport. It continued well into the afternoon with less than a quarter of all domestic flights departing on time as of 4 p.m. Not too long ago. And this is all according to real-time data. Most affected was Endeavor Airlines, a regional carrier based in Minnesota, with 40% of its flights canceled and effectively zero departing on time, according to some live data. Among major carriers, all flights for Delta, Spirit, and United Airlines were seeing delays. That's according to the live data we saw as well. While other airlines like Frontier, JetBlue, and Southwest were not directly affected by the global outage, but they had issues at affected airports, still resulting in delays from some of those carrier flights. The U.S. DOT, or Department of Transportation, has been directing affected passengers to flightrights.gov to learn about which airlines cover meals and hotels and provide free rebooking. So that's a really cool thing. So I think when we think about, what's going on, and we think about the fact that, something as simple as not taking the right steps could shut down an entire country. So the question that you're probably asking me, John, is what could CrowdStrike have done to prevent this disaster? What could they have done? They told customers it was because of a defect found in the single content update of its software. But how could they have avoided this? I think it comes down to the fact that Q&A is just not there. So how do we make sure that CrowdStrike doesn't do this again? I think a lot of people are going to leave CrowdStrike. And this is a company that's supposed to protect you, a cyber company, right? I just have a problem because of the massive scale. And this outage affected people all over the world, not just in New Jersey. And I think the biggest challenge was the delays with air travel. There were so many signs from kiosks all saying the same thing. Sorry, this kiosk is under maintenance. Kindly proceed to the check-in counter. And the check-in counter had similar, if not the same, messages. So delays of up to 120 minutes expected on many of Victoria's regional train network was one challenge. Experts expect situations to be pretty well back to normal soon. But the question is, how do we prevent this? Software like CrowdStrike's Falcon platform are typically rolled out from a central part of an organization. They have IT support teams. They should be able to quickly apply the patch, but they didn't. The problem existed if a computer had been turned off after the blue screen occurred, and the computer would need to be turned back on so the patch could be applied. But generally, most people expect this type of problem should be resolved by the next day. That's not enough time. IT teams are definitely working late to fix this, but I just have to say, I think CrowdStrike lost a little of its reputation. And I say this because they pushed out something. Okay. The interesting thing is CrowdStrike might lose $16 billion, a fifth of its value, because of the global IT outage. $16 billion. Shares of cybersecurity from CrowdStrike, which is behind the global Microsoft outage, lost a fifth of its value in trading in the United States and was down 21% in unofficial trading. This resulted in loss of almost $16 billion in CrowdStrike's valuation of the company. According to Oleg Gorowski, who's the founder of Ukrainian online bank Monobank, I quote, "The outage resulted from an interaction between the CrowdStrike antivirus software and the Windows operating system of Microsoft." CrowdStrike CEO George Kurtz said, quote, that the company is actively working with customers impacted by a defect found in a single content update for Windows hosts. The question you're probably asking me is, will many people dump CrowdStrike? I don't know. I think the biggest thing I have to say about this is that it happened once, okay? So they might lose some people because of that, but if it happened again, I can almost tell you they would lose more than half of their subscribers. I mean, that's just pathetic, right? Pathetic to know that a cybersecurity company crippled a good percent of the nation. And the reason we weren't crippled, because we weren't using CrowdStrike. I don't know what it is, and this is a very interesting question. Why is CrowdStrike not the best? I think the biggest thing for me is the way this update was not tested. So CrowdStrike's role in what we call the Microsoft IT outage. The major Microsoft outage that happened, as we said, grounded flights, sent TV stations off air, disrupted online hospital systems, and links to a third-party cybersecurity technology from the name CrowdStrike. Of course, the CEO, George Kurtz, apologized, but how do you apologize when you're losing millions of dollars? So, as we said, companies in Australia running Microsoft Windows operating system started reporting devices showing what is commonly referred to as the BSOD, blue screen of death. According to Microsoft's website, this happens if a serious problem causes the Windows to shut down or restart unexpectedly. Disruptions then will spread rapidly, impacting companies and communities around the world. The UK, India, Germany, the Netherlands, the US reported disruptions. Meanwhile, United, Delta, American Airlines issued a global ground stop on all flights. The cause of the outage came from a faulty update again from CrowdStrike, deployed to computers running Microsoft Windows. And it was linked to Falcon, one of the company's main products, which does not impact Mac or Linux systems. According to David Brumley, he's a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Carnegie Mellon University. Quote, this was a perfect storm of issues. Their code is buggy, and it was sitting there as a ticking time bomb. See, I don't know, but I always research companies, and that company just didn't seem to have it for me. Companies like Google will roll out updates incrementally, so if the update is bad, at least it will have limited damage. So, of course, we know that CrowdStrike is working on it, but I personally just didn't have enough faith in that company. And the way that they were able to cripple the United States and countries outside of it really send a message to me, and hopefully maybe the European Union will step in and say, hey, you know what? Maybe they should get fined for what they did. See, I think these companies feel because, they're on Wall Street or because they're getting so much money in investment that they're impervious to any kind of issue. But you know what? I have to tell you, some companies like Wall Street and some of the banks, they are the worst companies. I'm not going to name which ones. I've done work for a lot of banks. They buy software based on what somebody else says. I buy software and I invest in technology, not what other people say, based on what I see as an engineer, how I experience the system. Most people don't have that ability. And so they rely on people that give opinions. They're not experts. And they buy stock. Again, they're not experts. They don't know. And I hope that CrowdStrike at least goes back and says, you know what? We screwed up. We got to make sure this never happens again. But I don't know. I don't have enough confidence in them. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about is robots with high-tech whiskers. This is pretty amazing, guys. I mean, really, really, really amazing. High-tech whiskers are giving working robots more ability to move safely. So Flinders University researchers are developing affordable, flexible whiskers to enhance robot navigation and tactile abilities in confined or cluttered spaces. These sensors were inspired by animal whiskers. They help robots overcome blind spots of cameras and rangefinders, enabling them to detect and interpret object properties like weight and mobility. And the whiskers are optimized for electromechanical design, allowing robots to navigate safely by sensing and interacting with their environment. This innovation aims to advance robots' practical applications into various real-world scenarios, providing additional capabilities and capacities at a low cost. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this show as much as I did. I hope you'll tune in live next week when my guest will be Jason Miller. And I think you guys will really enjoy what he's saying, whether you own a golf course, you work at a golf course, you play at a golf course, maybe you're a member at a golf course. And it's important that your golf course stays in the black, because if they don't, you know what's going to happen? An assessment's going to be passed on to you as the member. So I think this affects everybody, not just the people that own a golf course, that run a golf course, but even people that attend a golf course. We're going to tell you how to keep that golf course in the black and out of the red using smart technology that won't break the bank. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your night and weekend. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to catch you guys when? Next week. But you know what? In the meantime, do check out believemeachieve.com. Scan my QR code, more of my amazing, inspiring creations, and I'll catch you guys real soon. All right, everyone? Be well and have a great weekend. I'll see you next Friday.